Warning: the following podcast, which contains strong language and mature content, is unsuitable for children or for the faint of heart. The subject matter discussed will be frightening and graphic in nature. Listener discretion is advised.
When you want to hear about the paranormal, you get the Spooksters. True crime that makes you hypothermal. With the three spooked girls, stabby snippets will give you dreams. Tara and Jessica will make you along with the spooked girls. Bring on the slaughter, we on that haunted ground. The three spooked girls.
Hey Spooksters, and welcome back to another Sunday Scaries here on Three Spooked Girls. My name is Tara, and as always, I'm here with my ghoul friend Jessica.
Hello.
Last week, we wrapped up I Dared My Best Friend to Ruin My Life. He's Succeeding. Now, this author has come out with a second series that is titled I Dared My Best Friend to End My Life. This is going to be another multi-parter, so y'all get ready and let's go ahead and dive on in. Hello Reddit, this is Clark, Xander's best friend. I hope you'll remember me from the last series that Xander posted. I wish I was here to say thank you for all your help in getting David King what he deserved. I wish I was here to tell you that all of Xander's charges have been dropped and that we are returning to normal life, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here because Xander is missing. I haven't heard from him in a little more than 2 weeks now, and his Reddit activity is non-existent ever since July 7th that I can see. I'm worried. He always sends at least a few words to keep me updated every couple of days, so I know he's safe and still on the run. But now, no one has heard from him. I've talked to Detective Hernandez, his parents, and even Katie. No one has seen or heard from him in a while. Let me fill you in on what I know. A week ago, I realized I hadn't heard from him in a while, so I texted him and got no response. I sent him an encrypted message, though, through the online messenger that we use for really secretive conversations. Nothing. I looked at his Reddit page, and there was no new comments or submissions. The last thing I see on his Reddit account is a request for password possibilities to brute force David King's old hard drive and a few comments here and there to people. You may be wondering how I'm posting using Xander's Reddit account. He's never shared the password with me. Let me explain the timeline of events until now. After I checked his Reddit user page and tried to contact him through all other normal and abnormal channels, I went to see Detective Hernandez. I asked him whether he'd heard from Xander recently. He told me that the last time they talked was on the 5th of July. They met together with one of Hernandez's lawyer friends to discuss Xander's legal problems. Hernandez had also borrowed the hard drive once it came back from the lab and gave it to Xander when they met. The lab was unable to salvage any useful data, as far as Hernandez knows. While I was there, I asked him where Xander stood from a legal standpoint. This is how I understand his current situation. Xander had been previously charged with aiding a kidnapping, arson, manslaughter for David's mom, resisting arrest, credit card fraud, bank fraud, theft of personal property, and unlawful possession of David's confidential medical records. I think that's everything. It's been a week since I talked to Hernandez, so I might have some parts wrong. It was a lot of charges, and only 4 have been dropped: aiding a kidnapping, theft of personal property, arson, and manslaughter. 3 of those charges were dropped as a result of the GoPro footage we turned in as evidence. The theft of personal property was dropped because the prosecutor didn't feel he could successfully convince a jury without David's testimony. I'm pretty pissed off that the other charges are still being held against him. As Xander stated in his previous posts, the credit card companies and Xander's own bank had done their own investigations and had filed criminal charges against him for fraud. This was because the information provided to them while filing for a credit card was so complete and so accurate that they didn't believe someone other than Xander could have filled out the form. The electronic submissions also came from his own computer. As for possession of confidential medical records, I don't know any real way around that. If anyone has any ideas, I'm happy to hear them. He's also being newly charged for voluntary manslaughter for shooting David King. Hernandez's lawyer friend is convinced that a jury would be persuaded to call him innocent on this charge, but only if he turns himself in. The sooner he turns himself in, the less guilty he looks to a jury. Even so, the GoPro evidence I gave them should still help prove that it was self-defense. Alternatively, Hernandez's friend is worried that the video will prove that we set a trap for David, proving malicious intent. Hernandez also warned me that they were working vigorously to accuse me as an accomplice in David's death. I already knew that from my own attorney. Once again, the GoPro footage should help. I hope. The police were able to identify the partner that was with David King. Unfortunately, they refused to disclose who that was. Even Hernandez refuses to say so. He claims he's on thin ice with his boss and refused to risk it. Right, because a stolen hard drive puts you at the top of your boss's great employees list. The charge for resisting arrest is threefold. The first is from Xander leaving the scene after the car crash, where David broke him out of jail. The fact that he even left the scene is a crime by itself. The second instance is in his continued state of being on the run. The longer he keeps running, the worse it'll get. The third instance comes from running away after shooting David King. The prosecutor is treating this last instance very seriously, and it'll be the leading point in bringing down Xander's credibility and innocence. Hernandez told me that when they'd met, he'd made the recommendation to Xander to turn himself in. This was quite a while ago, so obviously he didn't listen. Hernandez and Xander apparently got into a little shouting match over the affair. Hernandez threatened to simply arrest him on the spot. Xander took the threat seriously and left, taking the hard drive with him. I chewed Hernandez out for threatening him like that. So he's definitely not out of the woods yet, legally speaking. But even those new developments aren't a reason for him to go completely under the radar, especially from me. 3 days into my search for Xander, Katie contacted me. I had gotten home from checking a few of Xander's local hideouts. Yes, he gave me a list of them in case I needed to use them. Nope, not sharing, sorry. I was heading home to my mom's apartment. I had moved back in with my mom during the David situation, where I could lay low and keep from being targeted. I intended to move back out, but haven't bothered yet. Katie was leaning against the wall outside of the apartment. I froze when I recognized her. Her hair was cut to shoulder length, where it used to run down her back before she was kidnapped. Her eyes weren't smiling anymore like they used to. They looked dull, dim, unmotivated. "Hi, Clark," she said after a minute. She pushed away from the wall and walked towards me. "Katie?" I stuttered. I hadn't heard anything about her condition after the night in the warehouse. I'll probably recount the warehouse experience in a future update. "Where's Xander?" she asked immediately. It caught me off guard, not what I'd expect to hear from Katie after all of this time. "I don't know. He's gone," I said. "Yes, I know, he's on the run, but he should have snuck over here to see me at least. It's been weeks since the warehouse, and I haven't had any contact. I'd expect him to at least check up on me after what happened." "Katie, what happened to you?" I asked after a minute. "I mean, you're up and walking around and functional. Am I supposed to be a mess? A sobbing nutcase who hides at home and is afraid to go outside?" she said harshly. When did she get so coarse? "I didn't mean," I said. "Forget it," she interrupted. "I need to talk to Xander. It's important." "I told you, he's gone. No one knows where he is. I haven't heard from him." Her eyes narrowed. "Xander is missing?" she clarified. I nodded. Her eyes blinked out again. Her face rested on worry for a moment before slipping back into that dull expression. "Okay, I'll go look for him," she said, walking past me. I gently reached for her arm, but she raised a fist and spun to my face. She realized what was going on and dropped her hands. "I'm sorry," she said, vulnerable. "What happened to you?" I asked quietly. "What did David King do to you?" She looked up and caught my eye. "Not David," she replied with a harsh expression. After that, she left. I was puzzled as she walked away. We'd been pretty good friends even before everything happened. Xander, Katie, and I would hang out quite often, and we'd always gotten along and been friendly. That year had really changed her. I could clearly see that. For the next 2 days, I kept checking his hideouts. He had over 100 of them, some local and some in other nearby states. His preparedness was now becoming a burden on me. It was somewhat late, but was still light outside when I found this hideout. It's an older home that had been abandoned for years. According to Xander, most of his choices are homes where the owner died quietly, and the old homes would slip through the cracks or be so worthless that no one bothered with it. I can easily understand why this house was forgotten. It's old and unkept. The frame leans to one side. It's slight but noticeable. All of the windows have been smashed and boarded up. The hideout notes told me that the front door is always barricaded, so I had to enter through a window on the second floor accessed by standing on an old window AC unit. I have to pull my arm out of my sling in order to climb up. Xander's setup is down in the basement. He had it set up to siphon electricity from the neighbors and uses as little power as possible in order to avoid detection. When I walked into one of the old bedrooms where he was holed up, a sense of dread filled me. On an old, rickety table stood a few computer towers with multiple monitors. They were powered off. An assortment of keyboards and mice cluttered the tabletop. A few folders were spread across the remaining space, as well as some stacks of papers. That's when I found his cell phone on the floor. I actually stepped on it, but it didn't break. I picked it up with terror. Xander doesn't set down his cell phone. Ever. Not after David fucking King. Xander's phone was still logged into Reddit, which is how I'm here on his account. I'm coming to you now, Reddit, for 2 reasons. The first is to try and enlist your help, though I don't know what I need from you yet. The second is to try and get Xander's attention. Xander, where are you? Get a message to me. You know how to contact me. If something has happened, obviously you won't respond, and I'll start doing what I think is right. Otherwise, you better talk to me. As for everyone else, I'm considering releasing a picture of Xander so you can keep an eye out. I'll be walking around this area checking Xander's hideouts to see if he's moved locations. I'm nervous to release his picture in case he's running into trouble with someone, and a picture will only help them identify him. I'm going to call Hernandez for help, if he can help. Xander, get a message to me, please. Clark. And that is going to go ahead and wrap us up for today. We hope you guys are enjoying these Sunday Scaries, and we will be back on Thursday with another full episode. Bye, guys.
Toodles.